Well, for me, translational research is a two-way street that goes from needs of populations to basic science, all the way through clinical practice, and from basic science all the way to policy. In the case of environmental health sciences, it is quite evident that more than everyday clinical practice, although it may also be there, a great significance will have what are the issues in environmental health that are important for the population that can be better understood through basic sciences, are what are the novel approaches that can come from basic science research that can be transformed into policy issues that are very important. One that I would like to say explicitly has been crucial has been the whole approach towards tobacco smoking. I think that's a very good example of successful translational research because it has been understood through both basic science and clinical science that there is a direct relation between smoking and cancer, a direct relation between smoking and many other diseases such as cardiovascular diseases, and a direct relation between smoking and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And the biological mechanisms have also been determined. Had we not done that, we wouldn't have had the powerful arguments we have had to say smoking in public places need to be restricted, which is a policy issue. My main focus is asthma, and asthma is essentially an environmental disease, together with being a disease that is associated with a genetic hereditary predisposition. And so every time we see a patient with asthma, assessment of environmental exposures is mandatory. In fact, in many patients with asthma, if a thorough assessment of exposures is made, one can find certain of these exposures that, when addressed, decreases the likelihood of having severe disease. So environment is an essential part of what I do. The Southwest Environmental Health Sciences Center and the IHS, as part of the Southwest Environmental Health Sciences Center, has to do with one of the two main components of disease and therefore of prevention and treatment, which are susceptibility and exposures. The question of what the obstacles are for translational research is one that is at the center of the attention of everybody trying to develop translational programs nationally. My opinion is that the main obstacles have to do with the way in which we have understood biological sciences until today. We have been very successful until today in developing biological approaches to understanding health and disease by this mechanism of isolating them into silos, each one developing their own approaches without a lot of integration. Perhaps paying lip service to integration, but in the end, every time we need to develop a research program, a grant, we tend to work in our separate silos. We have already caught the low-hanging fruit that could be caught with this not integrated approach. The issues that we need to address today are so complex and are so much determined by factors that, without understanding the other factors, are difficult to elucidate, that we need to work together. The problem is that we have worked so long not together, that we have not developed the methods, the language, the territory in which we can work together. This is what SWESH and the Southwest Environmental Health Sciences Center is so important about, which is that offers that territory in which people who want to study the potential role of environmental exposures from different points of view can work together and can train the next generation of researchers that is going to be, therefore, devoid of this silo mentality and silo language that was successful yesterday, but for sure, I am convinced, will not be successful in solving these much more complicated problems. Developing that common territory and developing that common language and that common training experience is what is going to solve the obstacle.